Hi, how are you? I was very fortunate to be asked to speak here today, and mostly because we are among the lucky ones. These are my two boys. This is Jake and this is Jonathan. Jake is 11 and Jonathan is 8. On Christmas Eve of 2011, we visited the home of very close friends. This was definitely a place where we felt like we were completely and totally safe, and the ask never even occurred to me. The boys were tracking Santa on the computer on the NORAD site and came across what they thought was part of a video game accessory, which was in fact a loaded pellet gun. When you think about guns, you don't think about pellet guns and BB guns perhaps as being that serious, but in this case it definitely proved to be as serious and problematic as any other type of weapon. The boys found the gun. They were in typical boy curiosity, picked up the gun and were playing with it, and it did go off when Jake was holding it and Jonathan was shot through the eye. As you can imagine, Christmas Eve took a very different turn as the ambulance arrived and we took our ride to the hospital, and I was spending my time praying for Jonathan's eyesight. After we were at the hospital for a couple of hours, I learned very quickly that instead of praying for his eyesight, I needed to pray for his life, because the bullet had actually traveled through his brain and was lodged there, along with some bone fragments and fragments of the pellet. So when the doctor told us that that was not something we could operate on, we were thinking about, well, what next? And after a week in intensive care and a month at home where Jonathan and I became very close, and now he doesn't like to leave my side, as you can see, in about a half a year of PT and OT, he's doing great. We're very, very lucky. I think our emotional trauma certainly is a lot deeper than the physical wounds of Jonathan. He's probably doing better than the rest of us. Because the year of 2012 was definitely a sad, messy blur. It happened in 2011, but I'm talking about 2012. Thanks, Jonathan. That whole year was one of fear of the unknown, fear of not sure what was going to happen next, one of anxiety, one of worry, one of paranoia, and one of Jake spending a lot of time blaming himself, which was really, really heartbreaking. Because we know that this accident did not occur because of a 9-year-old boy's action, but rather that of an irresponsible adult. And my failure not to ask. I did not think of that. Now I ask. What's even nicer is that because of our friends and knowing that this has happened, they offer that information. Yes, would Jake like to come over to play? Oh, by the way, we don't have guns in our home. It's a nice consequence of that. But again, with all of the trauma and the chaos, we are definitely very much aware that we are the lucky ones, and we're very interested in helping kind of pay this forward and promoting this idea of asking. We would love it if asking became part of that normal routine when you're dropping off at a play date. Do your kids have any allergies? Are there any guns in the home? It's a normal conversation that can occur. We know that in this world we cannot keep our children safe by ourselves. It takes a group effort, and this is one of the things that we can do to make this happen. So let's work together to not only make it normal to ask, are there unlocked guns where my children play, but make it expected. If you do have a gun in the home, of course, you need to keep it locked and safely away from children and lock your ammunition separately. But everyone, regardless of how safe you are assuming this house is, ask, are there unlocked guns where my children play? Thank you.